You ready, Mike?
Yeah.
Well, this, I don't have any questions for you.
No.
So you're just on your own. Just tell me about your dad. Well, tell me about, I guess he just inherited this, or how did he get this land?
Yeah. When they bought the ranch, my granddad said he asked my dad if he was interested, and he said, yeah, that's all he ever wanted to do, was to ranch. And so they bought the ranch in 1917. Daddy didn't graduate from college till 1920, I think. Anyway, as soon as he got home from college, well, my granddad was kind of in bad health, and when Dad got in from college, they were harvesting wheat, and Dad just got on the binder, and they were, hauling the shocks of wheat or the bundles of wheat into the thrashing machine, and Daddy started right in running the binder. And he said he did that all summer, and really from that time on, Dad pretty well ran the ranch. He lived out here, and my granddad had high blood pressure, and he was more of a trader, and my dad was more of an operator. And then when I graduated from high school, my dad made me a partner in the ranch. Actually, I didn't do too much till I got home from college, and then I married my wife. I met her in college, and then we moved here in 1957. And from that time on, he and I were partners for about 30 years. We really worked well together. He was more of an operator, and I was more of an innovator. And of course, a lot of the things that I was wanting to do, he thought wouldn't work, and some of them did, and some didn't. And he was the same way with his father. When he took over the ranch, there had been an oil well that they tried to drill on this place, and the old rig burned, and they didn't ever find any oil, but they left a lot of cable laying around. And my dad rigged up a cable to put cake down in the canyons for the cattle, and his dad said all the cattle didn't need feed anyway. But, in the spring they'd get so weak they'd have to tail them up. They called them being on the lift. But that's what my father did, was to rig up this cable, and we spent a lot of time going over. We'd get cake in for the cattle at Washburn and haul it down. At first they used a wagon to haul it down here, but later on, when I came along, they were using a truck. And then we'd unload it in the barn, and then haul it over to the cable, load it back up, haul it over to the cable, load it on the cable, put it down in the bottom of the canyon, unload it and put it in a house, and then load it back up and put it on the wagon and feed it down in the canyon. So it took a lot of work. But my dad never minded work. He liked to work. And then he also liked to hunt, and he went hunting a lot, and I went with him into Africa in 1957. No, I take it back. It was 52. It was the year I graduated from high school. We went on a round the world tour and hunted in Africa for a month. And he put those trophies in the museum in Canyon that we got from Africa. And then he went back 2 more times to Africa. And then he started a sheep ranch in Alaska because he was up there hunting and talked to this fellow, and he liked adventure. He liked to innovate too, I guess. So for about 10 years, so we had a sheep ranch on the Aleutian Islands in Alaska. And I went up there for a while with my wife. We spent about a month up there. And that's where she learned to cook caribou and do without her appliances and haul water. And so if she stayed with me through that, she made a pretty good wife.
I guess that's the truth. What do you think have been the biggest changes in ranching from, well, you told me one, but from the time that your granddad was working to now?
Well, the biggest changes we've seen have probably been in mechanization. When Dad was running the place, well, there were probably 8 or 10 cowboys that worked here full time. We had a cook and kind of fellow that worked in the garden. We raised our own vegetables, and we had pigs and chickens and turkeys, and nowadays, of course, we buy the milk. We had milk cows, and we raised our own beef, and we did. It took a lot of work. We had a lot of horses, had a lot of mules. We did things with wagons, and now we don't have. We only have one paid employee, and then my son and I work together. And so there's only 3 of us that work on the ranch now. And we probably raise as many cattle as we did at that time, but we have Jeeps and pickups, 4-wheel drive pickups. That's made a lot of difference. A Caterpillar tractor that can build the roads down into the canyons, which we didn't have before. We still have the same problems that we did have. We still have droughts, and we still have low prices, and they usually go together. When you have a drought, you have low prices. And so there's not any cure for that. But the feedlots have helped even out the cycle, so it's not as severe as it used to be. We feed some of our cattle in the commercial feedlots now.
And is your son interested in taking over?
Yeah, I think so. We just made a partnership together this year with my son Sam. He's named after my grandmother, Samuela.